Now we're going to talk about some of the things that you can do just by yourself to help cope with mental illness, depression, and anxiety. The first thing that we're going to talk about is breathing. Okay, and so Dan is going to be my guinea pig here. Hello. And Dan is my administrative assistant at my private practice. And so I'm going to treat him as a guinea pig, and we're going to treat this like a therapy session.
Sure. Okay.
So your nervous system is broken into two parts. You have the sympathetic nervous system, and then you have the parasympathetic nervous system. The way to think about this is think about the sympathetic nervous system as sort of like stepping on the gas pedal for your car,
okay,
and the parasympathetic nervous system is sort of stepping on the brakes. Sympathetic nervous system is what controls your fight, flight, or freeze response. High octane emotions. Parasympathetic does the opposite. Rest, relax, rejuvenate, calm down. So sympathetic is going to activate when you're being chased by a bear. The parasympathetic nervous system is going to get you to calm back down again. And usually you get a little bit of a tingling sensation when it activates. Anytime you feel very comfortable, calmed, soothed, maybe when you're taking a nice warm shower on a cold day or something, all these things tend to activate the parasympathetic nervous system. Now the thing that gives you the most direct control over whether you were activating the sympathetic or the parasympathetic is your breathing.
Sure.
Okay. So if you want to activate the sympathetic, you want to do a lot of fast, short breaths. Okay. You may have seen like boxers or other athletes doing this on the sidelines or in preparation for what they do to get energized. A lot of high octane power. But if you want to activate the parasympathetic, you do the opposite. You do long, deep, slow breaths. So we're going to do a couple of different exercises here, techniques that you can use to help switch yourself from sympathetic to parasympathetic using your breath.
So like if my blood's pumping and I'm experiencing anxiety, I would do the breathing exercises to calm down.
That's right.
Okay.
That's right. And the first one we're going to do, some people call it square breathing. I like to think of it as a rectangle, and here's why. We're going to inhale for a count, and we're going to hold our breath for a count. And then we are going to exhale for a count.
Sure.
Okay? Some people will do 5 seconds, 5 seconds, and 5 seconds. I think you get the most bang for your buck on the holds, on the breath holds. So that's why I tend to prolong the breath hold, which is why I think of it as a rectangle rather than a square.
Okay.
And so we're going to start by inhaling for 10 seconds, and then exhaling, or then holding our breath, and then exhaling for 10 seconds. And we're going to hold our breath, but before we do that, I want to ask you, how long can you comfortably hold your breath?
Well, let's shoot for like 30 seconds.
30 seconds. And before we start, I want to remind you, that sometimes people inhale too fast. You don't want to inhale through an open mouth, because then you'll fill up too fast and you'll have nowhere to go.
Okay.
So we want to inhale through our teeth, so we can get that back pressure, and that way we can inhale over the count of 10 seconds without filling up too fast.
Okay. Should I be like sitting straight up, or is it alright if I'm leaning back a little bit?
Whatever's comfortable.
Okay.
Yeah. And same thing with the exhales. Exhale through your teeth so that you can get the time across the whole 10 seconds.
Sure.
Okay? Are you ready?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. And How did it feel?
That was good. That was good.
Did you notice any tingling sensation in your hands? Or
In my forearms for sure.
Yeah. Yeah, so that's a sign that your parasympathetic nervous system is activated.
Okay.
So that's the first breathing method. You can play around with the length of time. You can do longer holds, shorter holds, longer inhales, shorter inhales, longer exhales, shorter exhales. And some people also experiment with holding their breath after the exhale.
Okay.
So the inhale and the hold, and the exhale and the hold again.
Okay.
Make sure you're sitting down or laying down when you do this. Don't do this when you're driving. I know a lot of people's most stressful time is when they're driving.
Oh yeah.
Not a good time to do this, at least not for long periods if you're going to do it when you're driving.
Sure.
Get it over with so you don't get into an accident.
Okay.
Another breathing method that I want to cover is similar, but it's a little bit more intense. And this is a breathing method by a guy named Wim Hof. Wim Hof is famously known as the Iceman. You can find his videos on YouTube. And he came up with this breathing method that enabled him to endure a lot of pain, a lot of physical pain. He's known as the Iceman because he can submerge himself in ice cold baths of water, which is extremely painful, for record amounts of time. And he uses this breathing method to help him be able to endure that. And what this breathing method does, if we think about the rectangle breathing as sort of activating the parasympathetic nervous system, just sort of gently, this is sort of like slamming on the brakes, very aggressively activating that parasympathetic nervous system.
Okay.
Okay, so normal breathing.
Sure.
Okay, so it's inhale, and then on the 30th one, you exhale,
Okay.
and then you hold, and then you inhale again, hold for 15, and then exhale.
Okay.
So we're going to do that right now. For the sake of time, we're going to reduce it from 30 down to 15.
Okay.
Okay, so we're going to do 15 of those.
Mhm.
Okay, are you ready?
Yes.
Okay. How did that feel?
Well, it was very, very intense, especially during the initial inhalations and exhalations. But right now, very, very calm and tranquil.
Yeah. Did you get a tingle sensation?
Oh yeah.
Where did you feel it?
Just in my arms and legs.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I get it right here in my ankles.
Okay.
So this is a much more intense way of activating that parasympathetic nervous system. Don't recommend doing it if you have a respiratory condition or a heart condition. Again, don't do it while you're driving. try to do it when you're sitting down or laying down.
Right.
You can pass out doing this.
Yeah, I can definitely. I would guess that that's possible.
Yes, you can definitely pass out. So you want to make sure that you're doing it safely. If it hurts, don't do it.
Sure.
Next, we're going to talk about progressive muscle relaxation.
Okay.
Progressive muscle relaxation basically is the idea that you just tense muscles and then you relax muscles. What this does, it does a couple of things. First, it can help you recognize how much tension you're carrying. So, like if you have a lot of tension in your body and you're not paying attention to that, tension.
Sure.
By forcing yourself to tense it up even more, you recognize, oh wow, I'm tensing as much as I can, and it's really only like 5% more tense than it is all of the time, and so you pay more attention to the tension. Second, by making it more tense, you actually push some of the blood out, and then when you relax, the blood will flow back in, and it can sort of relieve that tension.
Okay.
So you can do it with any muscle group. Let's just start with our hands.
Okay.
So we're going to just clench our fists. We're going to clench as tight as we can, and then we're going to relax.
Okay.
And ready, clench. Tense as much as you can. Tense, relax. Now let's do our arms.
Okay.
We're going to just tense it like inward, our forearms, our biceps, chest as much as possible. And tense as much as you can. As much as you can. If you need to push your hands together, you can push your hands together. Tense as much as you can, and relax. Okay. Now we're going to do our shoulder blades. We're going to pinch our shoulder blades together, almost like we're trying to pinch our spinal cord with our shoulder blades. We're going to go back like this, and go. Tense, and relax. Okay. And you can also do it with your legs. So maybe you squeeze your butt cheeks together and squeeze. Tense, and relax. Or maybe you push down on the floor with your feet without knocking yourself backwards in your chair.
Sure.
Ready, go. Tense. Squeeze all the blood out of those muscles. Push. And then relax. Okay. You can do that with any muscle group at all.
Sure.
How does that feel?
Good. That was good.
Next thing we're going to do is a mindfulness exercise.
Okay.
Mindfulness is like basic mental health hygiene. It's sort of like washing your hands and brushing your teeth in mental health.
Sure.
What we're going to do is we're going to really cue ourselves into the moment right now, the present moment, with an attitude of non-judgment. And we're going to try to have an attitude of just noticing and describing things. Not judging things, not planning anything, but just noticing and describing things in this moment. There's a lot of different ways of doing this. I sometimes have people juggle balls. Sometimes people try to experience their thoughts as like waves coming through their mind. The way I like to teach people about mindfulness is through an exercise I call the 7 senses.
Okay.
The 7 senses are your sight, sound, smell, taste, touch.
Mm-hmm.
But then we have the other 2 senses, which are your ability to know your feelings and your thoughts. The fastest way to do this, to learn this, is to just do it.
Okay.
So I'm going to ask you to look around the room. Okay. And I want you to, as you look around the room, just name out loud all of the different things that you can see as you see them.
Sure.
Ready? Go.
Okay. I see the bookcases, the St. Michael statue. I see you, the table with some books on it. This table with the lamp. I see the other lamp. Diplomas on the wall. Light switches. We got overhead lights with kind of the egg carton plastic casing over them. See a pillar in the room, the mirror on it. There's the fan over on the other side of the room. There's the door, coat rack, filing cabinet, a few couches, paintings on the wall. There's the wall clock, table with a lot of fidget toys on it, looks like. other table with a printer, scanner, laptop, water bottles. See an air conditioning underneath the window. Crucifix on the wall. Yeah, that's basically it.
Okay. Cool. Very good. Now I want you to look around the room a second time, and I want you to notice something in this room or about this room that you have never noticed before, no matter how small. Could be an object, could be a detail, but just notice something that you haven't noticed before.
So
Could be
edit
anything.
that out. I guess just the pattern on the carpet here, I haven't really ever paid attention to.
Okay. All right. Cool. Yeah, that works. Now I want you to focus on what you see with as much attention as you can. And I want you to imagine that there's a great artist in the room listening in. And I want you to describe what you are seeing in as much detail as possible so that this artist can paint a photographic image of what you're seeing.
Okay. Well, the pattern on the carpet that I see, it's repeating pretty small pattern, diamond shaped, roughly, maybe the size of like a couple square inches, and it just repeats throughout the entire carpet. The colors, there's kind of like if you imagine like a typical diamond, like on a playing card, and tilt that sideways. On the top, you have like a pink stripe, and on the side, you have like a blue stripe, and then there's like kind of whitish green stripes in the middle. There's kind of a darker blue on the side opposite of the pink, and then kind of like a dark green on the sides in between the pink and the blue, and the dark green is alternating with the light green in the middle. Yeah, and it just keeps repeating that all over the carpet. Sometimes there's like additional little pills that are kind of removed, I guess, and it's not completely uniform. There's a little bit of chaos in it. So yeah.
Okay. Cool. Very good. Next, I want you to just name off all the different things you can hear and just name them all out.
Oh, okay. Well, I hear my own voice, obviously. I hear the fan spinning. I hear traffic outside. Well, that's about it. There's not a whole lot going on in here.
Okay. Good. Now I want you to name off all the things that you can smell.
Oh, what can I smell? I guess I can kind of smell. I don't know. The building has a very distinct, like, roller mill smell, I guess, and it's kind of like a combination of the carpets and the wood. I guess that's the main thing that I smell.
Can you taste?
Well, there's a little bit of lingering aftertaste of the flavored seltzer water that I have in my mouth.
Okay. And now I want you to do a body scan.
Okay.
From the top of your head down to the bottom of your feet. And I want you to just notice all the physical sensations that you can feel throughout your body. Physical sensations.
Sure.
And I want you to name them out loud the same way that you named the objects in the room.
Okay. I guess I got. I feel itchy underneath my shirts on my shoulder. I can feel myself sitting in the chair, like I feel my weight pressing against the chair. I feel kind of like a tingly or like pulsing sensation, like near where I had surgery on my leg. That's kind of like throbbing, but not in like a painful way. It's just kind of like pulsing, I guess. Well, I feel my tongue in my mouth and my lips coming together when I talk. I feel my hand's holding I feel my hand holding my hand. fingers interlaced. I feel my glasses on my face. Yeah.
Cool.
Sure. Okay.
So now that we've done the 5 main senses, we're going to turn inward into our cognitive senses.
Okay.
And I want you to kind of look inside, and I want you to look around inside the room of your heart, inside the room of your mind, the same way that you looked around this room that we're sitting in. And I want you to tell me what emotions you notice happening inside of you right now.
I guess kind of anxious about getting somewhere late. I feel kind of just fatigued from a lot of homework and schoolwork and office work, stuff like that. I'm feeling conflicted about whether or not I want to take a potential position, like change my schedule at work. So I'm feeling conflicted about that.
So you've got conflicted,
Mhm.
fatigued, and
Kind of anxious. Yeah.
Okay. So now I want you to imagine each one of those emotions as like almost like a person in
Okay.
that room with you,
Sure.
like a cartoon character.
Okay.
Anxious, fatigued, and conflicted. Right?
Mm-hmm.
And I want you to tell me what each of those personalities are saying to you inside that room.
Sure. Okay. The anxious one is saying that like I need to, well, saying that it's like rude to be late to people, that you made it a commitment, and so you need to like try and like make sure that you fulfill like your end of the bargain with that like social commitment, I guess. The fatigued voice is saying that just don't do anything. Don't do anything. You don't need to do anything. Just go home and sleep. And the conflicted one is like kind of talking about the pros and cons of staying where I'm at versus taking a different position, having a different schedule, and all the ramifications, all the potential consequences of changing versus staying. Yeah.
Yeah, so a lot of busy thoughts.
Lots of busy, just a lot of busy thoughts right now.
Okay. Yeah, got it. So now this is the part where we become distinctively Christian.
Okay.
I want you to turn back into that room, in that space, with those 3 emotions and everything that they're saying to you. And I want you to invite Christ into that space. You might say a prayer, it might be out loud, it might be just in your mind, it might be just mental. I want you to welcome Christ into that space.
Hey everybody, thank you for watching this video. Unfortunately, the camera got cut out, and so we lost the end of the video. And so I'm going to do a little add-on here to make sure that you guys understand what I'm trying to show you. So imagine that you've got all of these feelings going on inside of you. And treat them just like objects inside the room. That's one of the reasons why I like starting with the senses, the sight, the smell, the sound, the taste, the touch, because it forces you to really observe your surroundings. But then when you turn inside, you want to maintain that same attitude, to treat your emotions, to treat your thoughts like objects in a room around you, and put yourself in that room, turn into that room. And treat these emotions like characters. Maybe they're like cartoon characters. Give them a name if you want to. Maybe there's a distinctive voice they have. Maybe you feel like your anger is like a devil on your shoulder, whispering angry thoughts. And then maybe like your peace is like a different thing. And one of the characters that you can invite into this space is Christ. You can invite Christ into this space. And we know from our faith that Christ promises that he will always be with us unto the end of the age. He promised this to the apostles, and the apostles continue to give us that promise, since we're in communion with the successors of the apostles, the bishops. And so we still have that promise. Christ is with us. So we can welcome Christ into that space. I might be sitting here feeling anxious, confused, conflicted, annoyed, angry, depressed, and I might have all these emotions sort of like around my mind. Just imagine visualizing all of those emotions in that space, in that emotional, that room of your heart, that room of your mind, and give them all a face, a voice, a name, and sit there amongst all of those feelings. And then once you've established that, what each of those feelings are and what they're saying to you, what they're whispering into your ear, what things they might be telling you to do, what things they might be telling you to think. Once you've got that clear for yourself, invite Christ into that space. And one of the things I like to do is to look at a cross or a crucifix or an icon. And maybe you're inviting Christ, a particular image of Christ, into that space. Maybe it's Christ on the cross, or maybe it's Christ in the desert, in the wilderness, or maybe it's Christ with a particular person from the Gospels. And invite Christ into that space and ask him to speak to you, to speak to your heart, to speak to your mind in the midst of all of those different emotions, and then just sit and listen and wait for his response. You have your anger over here, your depression over here, your anxiety over here, and they're all just around your head, and you just wait for Christ to speak to you. Now, this can take a very long time. For some, it takes a very short time. And this is a really powerful tool. In fact, the more time I spend in my career as a counselor, the more I use this with my Christian clients to tell them to make their relationship with Christ an important part, or maybe even the cornerstone of their recovery. And really believe that he's going to speak with you. Trust that he is there, that he really exists. In our Western world, we have a very reductionist mindset, a very materialistic view of things, and it's hard for us to think that Christ is really there speaking to us, but he really is. But each emotion has a particular character. Each emotion has a particular quality to it, a voice, a texture. And I encourage people to give a name to their emotions. Put a face on their emotions, so that when emotions are speaking to them, when their emotions are arising in their life, they can keep track of which one is doing what, which one says what, and which one tends to influence them in this way or in that way. So that's what I'm doing here when I'm asking Dan to think of what are the emotions saying to him. In this final part, I encourage Dan to invite Christ amidst those emotions. So just as we have anger as an emotion, and that's a particular character, and jealousy is an emotion, and that's another character, and anxiety and sadness and all these different emotions have their own quality to them, Christ is a person you can invite into the midst of that. So if you have 19 or 20 different emotions all hounding you, attacking you from different angles, and you can't make sense of it because you're so overwhelmed, one of the things you can do is you can invite Christ to enter into that space of your head and of your heart and speak to you, to speak to your soul. In the middle of all of these emotions hounding you, you can listen to Christ. And Christ is going to give you some feedback. He's going to give you some answers. A quick disclaimer, doing this exercise doesn't automatically make you a prophet or a mystic. And so the things that Christ speaks to you may or may not be gospel truth. It may or may not be applicable towards other people, and you may or may not hear strange things coming from the voice of Christ. It's important when you're doing this exercise to have people that you trust, people who understand the church's teachings, who understand the Bible, to help guide you in understanding what you're hearing from Christ and understanding whether it is from Christ or whether it's from yourself or whether it's from the world or whether it's from another source. And if it is from Christ, understanding what to do with that information. So I'm going to sit here for a moment and I'm going to just demonstrate this. in this moment I am feeling tired, stressed, and worried. Okay? I'm tired because it's been a long day. I've been working all day. I'm stressed because I really want to get this video done, and because the end of it got chopped off and we didn't get to use what we had made. And I'm worried because I'm worried about what might happen if this video doesn't get made well, if it sucks, frankly. I can welcome Christ into this space just with a quick prayer. Come, Lord Jesus. Lord Jesus, come. Come, Father, come, Son, come, Holy Spirit. And then I wait for Christ to enter. And then I listen. As I'm listening, I'm noticing my thoughts darting around, going to different things. I'm noticing myself thinking about the fact that I'm filming this. I'm noticing myself thinking about the people who might see this, what they might think. I'm noticing myself thinking about the client I have in 45 minutes and will they be ready for that session. I'm noticing myself worrying about this video. And in this moment, the one thing that I think I'm hearing from Christ is, I'm hearing the phrase, chill out. That's just the phrase that I'm hearing, is chill out. And that's all I'm hearing right now. It's just that phrase, chill out. And having heard that, I feel like I have permission. I mean, if God gives me permission, if Jesus Christ gives me permission, then, that's got to count for something, right? I feel like now I have permission to chill out. I feel like now I understand I'm obsessing too much. I'm too preoccupied with what's on my mind and losing sight of the big picture. So hopefully you can see the benefit of this exercise, and hopefully you see from this illustration how you might be able to apply it in your own case. Again, strongly recommend that you have people in your life who can give you advice and discernment to the as regards the things that you might hear, because you're going to hear all different sorts of things. I've worked with clients who've heard lots of different things, some of them helpful, some of them unhelpful, and weeding through that takes patience, it takes wisdom, and it takes someone who really can help you understand what you're hearing in the context of the faith, of the gospel, of church teaching. So with that, thank you for watching this video, and please give me any comments that you would like in the bottom, and I hope you guys found this helpful.